obviously, when the water levels were not so high, there were civilizations all around the planet. I was only there to examine some extraterrestrial bodies, that's all.
Medically.
This area, this hotspot down there of all these extraterrestrial craft coming in and out of this portal.
So it's all ET related?
Definitely, primarily, the reason they built this was to monitor that. A lot of the extraterrestrials we work on, we have to keep them in a special salt water while you take samples from them, or the tissue will, for some reason, just degrade and dissolve. I think they were seeded here like we were, but I also believe that, they've been here a lot longer than we have.
Tell me about some of these ancient underground bases. What do we know about this?
Well, there's ancient bases that have been here long before we got here. And what I try to explain to people to grasp this concept is, living in Albuquerque, I did a lot of mountain climbing, and I used to collect a lot of artifacts from the Sandia Peak, 10,800 feet above sea level.
Yeah.
And on these rocks, are basically, trilobites and underwater seaweed. And so what I'm saying is that was once underwater. And now it's 10,800 feet above sea level. But let's reverse that. And let's go to the deepest place now, the Marianas Trench there, and try to picture this. Now, maybe at one time that, way before, I'm talking billions of years ago, well, maybe that was dry. And there were civilizations living here in these deep places. And they were living in these areas with amazing amounts of energy for some reason. Like the Bimini Road, and right off the west coast of Cuba, there's an underground, Atlantis, they're saying, with pyramids larger than Giza. And then you have off the coast of Japan, they're finding other artifacts and ruins. So at one time, obviously, when the water levels were not so high, there were civilizations all around the planet. And I want people to understand that maybe that's why all these, they built them on ley lines and energetic areas too, for some reason. So there was some sort of correlation why these things were happening and why a lot of the portals they're finding underwater, exist in these areas as well. So the governments and the military and science foundations and other corporations have clandestinely got together and are starting to build these underground water facilities, underground bases near these zones so they can research them with proper technology, much more advanced technology than we have right now, and collect data, collect artifacts, and reverse engineer things. And what that means is that you have underwater bases near ancient sacred sites all over the planet right now, and they're building more and more and more.
Emery, have you been assigned to any of these underwater bases?
I've been to some of these facilities, but not assigned there.
So when you say you've been there, in what capacity?
I was only there to examine some extraterrestrial bodies, that's all.
Medically?
Medically.
And how did they get you down there? Through the tube system?
Yeah, through the tube system. I've already been on the tube system working in New Mexico for short distances for different areas underground. And remember, it's not under the water, it's under the water, under the ground. But it didn't take too much longer for me to go from New Mexico to the Gulf of Mexico. And it didn't take much longer for me to go from New Mexico to the Atlantic Ocean, let's say. It was not much more time. And I couldn't tell you exactly how fast these things travel, but they do travel very, very, very fast. And there was many people that were going to these facilities in and out, and it seemed like a very busy place.
So what are they doing down there that you can't do above ground?
Well, it's easier for them to remote control their underwater drones to survey and surveillance this area, this hotspot down there of all these extraterrestrial craft coming in and out of this portal.
So it's all ET related?
Definitely, primarily, the reason they built this was to monitor that.
Do the ETs know we're there, and do they work with us?
No, they don't have extraterrestrials in those facilities that I'm aware of, and they don't have any communication with the extraterrestrials that are coming in and out. They're just kind of like a photographer in Africa.
Just monitor.
Just kind of hiding out and watching the lions eat.
So the ETs don't show any hostilities?
No, not to my knowledge.
Who concocted this plan? How did this thing start?
It all started because the energy signature down there, they spotted somehow using their technologies with satellites, and they sent a couple drones down there, and they captured on film these craft coming in and out of this area in the Marianas Trench. I don't know exactly where it's at. So they decided this is something very important that we need to study, of course. So they spent billions and trillions of dollars to, get these facilities down there so they can monitor, what the extraterrestrials are doing and, where are they going, and tracking the craft through the oceans as well. And it's the same thing. These craft are no different than the craft that they're using to travel, intergalactically. So that being said, they're creating their own, gravitational field, even in the water. They can go very, very fast and, do these right-hand turns. And you hear a lot of these stories of the subs and other military, coming and going out of the water. And so and this has been visualized and videotaped by the military for many years.
At any given time, how long are the people who are working down there staying down there?
I really don't know. I was only there for a day, so
that's long enough.
It wasn't, I wasn't assigned there, I'll say.
But I mean, could they be there for years, or just?
Yeah, I mean, it's set up that someone could live there indefinitely. I mean, they have their own water system.
Are there families down there?
No, there's no families.
No kids.
No,
nothing like.
It's kind of like everyone is addressed a certain way, and everyone has a duty there, and it's a very mission work-oriented environment.
Could these be used for military purposes?
They could be, but I don't know what they would use it for. I mean, you have a research facility at the bottom of the ocean. They're utilizing it to gather intelligence and information from the energy signatures of the area. I don't know, what the military would do with that. It's not like an undersea docking base for submarines, I mean, they already have enough of that stuff.
Right.
They got that, cave system off the coast there in San Diego. It goes all the way through all the way to Nevada. So I mean that these giant subs can, pass through, and they have underground facilities for them, that's for sure.
What was your mission? Why were you down there?
Someone called in sick.
What do you mean somebody called in sick?
Someone called in sick and couldn't make it that day that was supposed to do this.
For
some reason, they could not transport the being to us, so they sent me out there to bring the samples back with me.
That was your mission?
That was it.
And what kind of samples were they?
They were muscle and tissue samples.
Of
a type of aquafarian being.
And what did these tissues show you?
I wasn't part of the genetics for that program. I was only there to take it, and I was just a tech.
When you say an aqua being, are you talking about something like a mermaid?
It's like a mermaid. They
Really?
found a civilization that lives down there that very rarely comes out.
E.T. or were they earthbound?
They're human looking, but with fins. I spoke about this in other episodes. They have webbed hands. They have fins that go down the outside of their arms and legs and their body, kind of like a cuttlefish. They're like a bluish white color, I would say. They have more rounder heads, and they do have gills. They breathe only underwater. They do not like light at all. They have very large eyes. They can see definitely underwater.
A species that we probably don't know about?
Yeah, it's a species they're trying to learn about now. A lot of these species, I think, are being discovered. I'm sure more and more will, come out in the future of these species that are, living down there, living in the inner earth caverns of the Marianas Trench, and being able to withstand these pressures. These beings, even though they kind of look very human and they look delicate, they somehow, have kind of like bird bones are kind of hollow. And one of the things I noticed about these species was they have a spongy bone. It's kind of like very like cartilage. It has an ability, I think, to expand and to shrink.
It sounds like they're more earthbound than extraterrestrial. Is that a pretty good assumption?
I think they were seeded here like we were, but I also believe that they've been here a lot longer than we have.
Do they seem friendly?
I don't have any,
First-hand
live
knowledge on that?
experience with them or live video. I hear a lot of stories in the projects that, they have made themselves noticed to these facilities, but have not done anything, to hurt them or threaten. But I do believe the facilities have a lot of videos and pictures of these beings, because I've seen a lot of this taken by underwater drone footage of these beings.
How would these underwater facilities compare to laboratories up top?
Oh, very similar. The only thing different is a lot of the underground facilities here are kind of archaic, because they started with a small base, and then the deeper you go, the more modern it gets, because they keep expanding. So it's kind of the opposite with these new bases that they're developing quickly around the oceans. It's like you said, it's a lot more ultra modern technology, and it's just a very different look.
What other technologies did you witness down there?
Well, one of the neat things I realized is they had something that we had on topside, which was underground, by the way. Our underground facilities had these giant aquarium operating rooms. A lot of the extraterrestrials we work on, we have to keep them in a special salt water while you take samples from them, or the tissue will, for some reason, just degrade and dissolve if you bring it up to the oxygen-enriched air. They had a couple of these operating rooms that were, of course, aquariums, which was, amazing to me, because I was thinking, oh, maybe that's where they got the idea from, and that's why we have it,
Sure.
the same one in the facilities.
Did you have to work underwater with breathing apparatus and things like that?
Well, some of the species I had to work on, I had to be in these operating room aquariums, environments, because of the bodies had to be in a certain salinity and pH, or they would dissolve. So we had our own suits, not like a scuba diver, because I had to have my own atmosphere and my own completely contained suit. With magnets on your shoes, and you walk up to it. Still has the same thing. You still have a table, you still have all the computers, you still have all your instruments, you still have everything, but you're underwater.
But you had to work on them underwater.
You had to work.
You had to do that.
You had to work on them underwater. Take the samples, and collect them the same way you would. You just did everything underwater.
It's amazing what's going on this planet, and not a lot of people know about it.
Yeah, it's unreal.
Where are these underwater bases, Emery? Are they everywhere on the planet, or just with the United States? Where are they?
Well, I don't know the exact location of all the bases. I just know there's underground facilities in all the oceans of the planet that we, as man, have put there. There's a question about, the underground traveling system for this. And there are, under the United States, there's huge caverns that these submarines can travel through. Sure. And it's all full of water.
But you think they're everywhere?
Yeah, I believe the whole Earth you can get all over through these caverns. Absolutely.
Who are these underwater bases for? To monitor ET activity, for humankind, for these aqua beings? What are they for?
Well, I think they're there to monitor all the above. I mean, anytime they find something new, they want to infiltrate it, study it, learn what it knows, learn why these energy systems are here, or these portals are here. So I think it's all the above. They're watching, monitoring, surveilling this hotspot.
These submerged vehicles, where are they coming from? Are they ours?
Well, the ones that are coming into the portals are extraterrestrials. We do have our own, submersible anti-gravitic device, craft, just like we have reverse engineered a lot of these things for flying around the atmosphere. So we have the same thing. These craft can go atmospheric, they can go underwater, they can do anything. So we have our own as well.
You've seen some of these tanks where medical practitioners put their hand in gloves and then they operate inside the tank, but they're physically on the outside. You're inside. How come?
Yeah, the being cannot really leave that area, and that one operating room aquarium is made up of many other rooms for the testing of the tissues. So they have a whole laboratory that's all underwater. So everything stays with the being underwater, and it's just kept, side by side, including yourself. That's right.
These underwater bases, are they extraterrestrial made?
Well, we made our own bases, as I discussed in the past, that we have in these hotspot areas. And there are, extraterrestrial bases nearby that are built into the rock there that they're investigating right now.
Who built them?
The extraterrestrials did.
If you enjoyed this, make sure to watch the next video on Awaken Zone. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell, but you won't want to miss what's coming next.